You were not meant to be a slave to the grind. You were not meant to trade your life force for money. You can escape gravity. You can unlock your life. You got this. Let's go.
Hello and welcome to Unlock Your Life. I'm your host, Jennings Smith here. Got a great show for you because we're going to tell you a story. How did I go from 3 trailers and 2 rental homes to over 1,500 units, 500 self-storage units, 1,000 apartment units in 3 years? So our portfolio, myself and my cousin Yaden, is valued at over $60 million. Now we have debt on that. We have partners on that. I own probably about 24% of that portfolio. But still, this is lifetime wealth, generational wealth that was built in a relatively short amount of time. And I want to talk to you guys about how I did that and how you can do that too. Because trust me, I am no genius. I probably don't work any harder than you. I'm definitely not smarter than you. And yet I was able to achieve and accomplish something pretty cool. And I'm still on that path. I'm still working towards doing more. But I wanted to break it down and give you borrowed belief so that you can see my story, hear my story, and think, wow, if that dude can do it, I can do it. Why can't I do it? Maybe I can do it. And you start to think along those lines, think bigger and bolder. Maybe you're interested in real estate, maybe you're not. But either way, I think you can get something out of it. So 7 years ago, we're talking, 2000, what was that? 13, 14, I bought my first property. In 2010, I'd had a really rough go of it with my construction company. I'd lost a lot of money. I was struggling. You may have heard that episode. I'm going door to door installing peep sites, teetering on bankruptcy, owed a lot of credit card debt, owed the IRS $15,000. My company had lost 50 grand. And in that period of crisis, I decided I'm not going back to this. I am not going to operate without a safety net anymore. I've got to get my house in order. I've got to get investments. I've got to get things that are going to pay me every month, whether I'm sick, whether I'm hurt, whether I can work or not. And my father had bought 15 rental homes over the course of, probably 10, 12 years. And he didn't start until he was in his mid to late 40s. And I saw how that pretty much saved him. It saved his retirement. So he's 70, 71 right now, and he's still a realtor. He works a little bit, but he has a really nice nest egg from buying those 15 rental homes, getting the cash flow off of them and paying them off and just having this asset. And so I thought, hey, I want to do that. And so I bought my first mobile home, and it was $5,000. It was all I could afford at the time. And I fixed it up and I put a tenant in it. And he immediately trashed it, quit paying me. Dogs were tearing it up. I didn't vet him very well. And I almost gave up at that point. But I pressed on and I got him out. I fixed it up again and sold it off. Bought another one. Just turned it into another rental. That one worked. Did it again. And a couple years later, I was able to scrape together $20,000 to buy my first rental home. Brick and mortar, 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a 1-car garage, for $96,000. And at the time, that was a lot of money. Now it seems cheap, but it was a decent amount of money at the time. And then the next, I think a year or two later, I bought another home for about 115 grand, same type of home. Rented them out for $1,000, $1,100 a month, and I was on my way. But I saw this is really slow. This is not going to get me to 1,000 doors because I had written down that I wanted 1,000 rental homes. I was dreaming big, and I did the math. A lot of people don't do the math. That's a Grant Cardone saying, but it's totally true. Do the math. So I started doing the math on what would be the cash flow on 1,000 rental homes. How much is it on one rental home? Okay, if I'm going to buy 1,000 rental homes, how much debt am I going to have? How am I going to source all these homes? Where are they? Who's going to manage them? Who's going to pay all the taxes, the insurance? How much cash flow is that going to be? How long is it going to take me to find those? How often am I going to have to be doing this? And it quickly became clear that that probably was not the best methodology to get where I wanted, because the goal was not to get 1,000 rental homes, right? I wanted the money. I wanted the income. I wanted the passive income. I wanted to be paying off the debt. I wanted to have the nest egg at the end. I wanted freedom. And when I looked at the math and the numbers and just the sheer size of buying, managing, and holding 1,000 single family homes, it was just not feasible. And I talked to a few bankers, investors, guys that were further along from me, and they confirmed that. They said, if you're going to go that big, you definitely don't want to do it in single family homes. So that shifted my focus, and I started thinking, well, what should I do it in? And I really was risk averse, right? I had PTSD. I was burned. I didn't want to get into something that was going to hurt me. So I kind of shied away from development deals. I kind of shied away from even commercial real estate like retail. And I like that. And I think I'm going to move more into that. I'm not against that. And I do own some self-storage now. But the most durable asset seemed to be multifamily. And then when I looked at the valuations of multifamily and how the banks and appraisers looked at multifamily, they agreed with that. Multifamily was a very durable, safe asset because, hey, everybody has to have a place to live. And there's always going to be a demographic of the population that cannot buy a house, doesn't want to buy a house, for whatever reason, needs to rent. And there's going to be demand because you can't digitize apartments. Like, we have physical bodies and we need a place to live. So I turned my focus to multifamily and I bought an online course. I found an online course, and that goes to point number 1 of my 4-prong approach from going from 2 rental homes and 3 trailers to 1,000 apartments and 500 self-storage units. Is number 1, I got educated. I started to learn. So I bought this course and it was $1,000, and I did not have the guts to buy it. I mean, I had $1,000. That was a lot of money to me at the time, but I wanted to buy it, and it was a really slick sales funnel. And I thought, man, this probably is going to work, but for whatever reason, I didn't buy it. And when I navigated away from the page, and they said, well, wait a minute, if you're not ready to buy the course, would you be willing to buy this deal calculator for $115 or whatever it was? And I said, well, sure, that's not much to risk. And I bought this deal calculator. It was an Excel thing, and it was really good. And I got into it, and then they said, hey, if you buy the full course within 2 days, we'll apply what you paid for the deal calculator towards the course. And I dug into the deal calculator. I felt like it was well built. It was worth $120 or whatever I had paid for it. And that gave me the confidence to spend the other $800 or $900 and buy the full course. So I dug into the full course, and man, was I excited. I went through every video, every spreadsheet, every document, just went through this course inside and out and thought, wow, okay, I can do this. But I didn't really do anything for 2 years. I just sort of sat on that information, poked around, didn't get too serious about it because I was busy, right? I've got family, I've got a job, I'm running a company, and did not focus my attention on this. So finally, after a year and a half, I thought, man, I've got to do something. Like, I've got to push this dream forward, and started to intently focus on that and putting together, finding my first deal. So I've been looking online, and finally something that came across my desk that looked interesting. It was a 12 unit in North Carolina for $250,000. Which sounds cheap, and it was cheap because it wasn't being run well. It was losing money, and they were paying way too much in expenses. The rents were really low, but it looked like I could make it work. I thought, if I can just bill back the water, I can get rid of this trash bill because they're making a mistake here. They're paying for dumpster service and they're paying for trash can service in their taxes. And then I can get a little rent bump. I can make this deal work. So I go to the owner, and now my next hurdle is, can I get this loan? Remember, this is 3-4 years ago. I don't have significant net worth to speak of. I've never closed anything other than a few rental homes. And now I'm going to try and ask a bank to sell me something that's 5 hours away out of my market. They're probably going to say no. So I asked the seller, hey, this property's losing money. I'm probably not going to be able to qualify for this loan because of your property. I didn't tell him it was me, but I said, because of your property, I probably can't qualify for this loan. Would you owner finance it? I can do my plan, and then I can refinance you out in 3 to 5 years. He said, sure. If you put down 30%, then I'll finance 70%. And I guess his thought was if I screwed it up, he'd get the property back, he'd have $90,000 and he'd try again. So we made a deal and now I qualified for the loan, right? Because all he needed me to do was just bring the down payment. That came to my second challenge. I don't have an extra $90,000 laying around. I think I had maybe an extra $10,000 or $15,000 laying around, if that. But I got creative because the course had taught me, well, you can raise money. You can find investors who want to get in the deal. So I put together a little pitch deck and I went to my dad, full disclosure, and I said, hey, Dad, I think this is a good deal. What do you think? And he looked it over. And I mean, he really put the screws to me. And I wanted to split the deal 60% to me, 40% to him. And he said, well, why are you getting more than me? I'm putting up the money. And I stood my ground. I said, well, deals are hard to find and money is everywhere. If you don't want to do it, I can find somebody else. And he said, no, I think it's a good deal. I'll do it with you. So thankfully he didn't call my bluff and he put the money up and I'm super grateful for that. Now, if you're listening to this, I want to say something and I want to make it very clear because you may be thinking, well, yeah, your dad gave you the money and of course your dad's going to give you the money. No, my dad is a hard ass. Not, of course, he gave me the money. He had seen me buying trailers. He had seen me buying rental houses. He had seen me diligently working. He'd seen me saving, and he felt confident in doing that because he's not all that wealthy either, or he wasn't. I mean, he doesn't want to lose $90,000. He doesn't want to put that at risk. And if he didn't believe in me and he didn't believe in the deal, he definitely would not have done it. And secondly, if he had not wanted to do it or couldn't do it for whatever reason, I would have found somebody to do that deal. I was not putting all my eggs in one basket and saying, if he says no, then I'm done. I'm toast. I would have found somebody. And it was a good deal. It was a great deal. So please, if you're listening to this, don't make an excuse for yourself and think, well, you just got lucky because your dad gave you the money. I want to disclose that because it's the truth. But you're going to hear in the story as we unfold that my dad started to tell me no. Okay? So bear with me. I had found the deal. Now I'd found the money. I got it set up and we bought the property. We did the value add. We hired a property manager, or I did. There really wasn't much wrong with the building. It was in decent shape. And we got the water bill back going. We raised rents a little bit. And 18 months later, we ended up selling that deal for $410,000, I believe. So $250,000. And we put maybe $20,000 into it, sold it for $410,000. We made about $140,000 on that deal. So it was a great deal, especially for our first deal. But remember, 18 months had passed. So what had I been doing in the 18 months? So point number one, I got educated. Point number two, I started finding deals. And I want to get to that or expand on that. And I want to get on to finding money. So finding deals. Found that first deal. I had gotten lucky. The next deal I found was a 19 unit that was not on the market. So my partner and my cousin Yaden and I started to pursue this more heavily. And we talked to our flooring guy who owned a local flooring company. His parents owned some multifamily. They had put a 19 unit under contract off market, and his parents had uncovered a bunch of termite issues with their lake house, and they wanted to dump the money to that, and they didn't want to buy this 19 unit anymore, and they needed to get out of the contract. So we told the flooring guy, hey, we'll give you a piece of the pie. I think we gave him like 5 or 10% of the deal if you assign the contract to us and let us buy it, because it was a great deal. So he agreed to that, and now we've got a deal that's $750,000, and it needs a down payment and it needs a loan because the seller was not going to owner finance us this time. So what did we do? We found a partner who was wealthy and he could qualify for the loan. I had met this guy at a conference, a multifamily conference that I'd gone to, and they were willing to bring the down payment, $250,000, and sponsor the loan in exchange for some equity in the deal, good chunk of equity in the deal. And I think they ended up raising the money from their investor base. I don't know that I think they brought a little bit of the money, but most of the money they just raised from other investors. But we got that deal across the finish line. So now I was getting better at finding deals. still hadn't done too well with finding the money, right? I'd gotten it from my dad on the first one, and then now my partner had brought the money. Well, our next deal was a 63 unit. 63 unit, we were getting better at finding the deals. This was another one. We'd built a relationship with a broker, told him we were looking for multifamily. He brought us this deal before he listed it, and we put it under contract. We put this deal under contract, 63 units for, I believe it was $3.8 million. So now we're talking about a big boy deal, right? $3.8 million, plus it needed a $1.2 million renovation, $5 million deal all in, and we needed a $1.2 million down payment. $1.2 million. Where am I going to get that? Because my partners that had helped me get the loan for the smaller place, they were willing to help us get the loan again, but they weren't going to put the money in this time. So we started to scramble, and we started to make a list of everybody we knew. We started to build our investor database, and a guy that I had met through a conference and through these networking circles, he came to me and said, Jennings, I got you, buddy. I can bring $1 million to this deal, and I want equity in the deal. I think he wanted 10% for bringing $1 million, and he's like, I can get it from my investor base. I flip houses, and I've got a lot of people that want to put money into real estate. No problem. I got you. Well, that was the easy button. Absolutely, man. Sure. Now I don't have to worry about raising this capital, and I just have to raise 200,000, and we can get that from somebody somewhere. We'll figure that out. So Yaden and I set to work, and we raised the $200,000. Our partner that were sponsoring the loan, they raised a few $100,000, and the guy who was supposed to raise $1 million, he didn't raise $1 million. He only raised $200,000. So we're 2 to 3 weeks away from closing, and we only have $600,000 raised, and we need $1.2 million. What are we going to do? This is where the rubber met the road. This is where I really wanted to bury my head in the sand and be like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Like, I'm never going to get $600,000. It felt like it might as well have been $60 million. But Yaden and I buckled down, said, you know what? Let's do this. And we started hitting the phones. We started doing one more try, one more call. Let's ask one more person. And little by little, we scraped and scratched and were able to get that last $600,000. And it came together. It was awesome. It was amazing. It was super exciting. We got that deal closed. And then we started our renovations and proceeded. So I'm now mastering 3 of the 4 steps. 1, I got educated. At this point, I'm really getting way more educated. I mean, the guys that sponsored our loan, they were very, very good at this stuff. They taught us a lot. We're getting better and better at finding deals. We're building our network. Now we've got track record. Now we've got traction. Brokers are calling us with deals. Other people are bringing us deals, looking to partner with us so that they can get their first deal across the finish line. We're building our investor base. We're getting better at finding money. And the deals started to come across the finish line. We closed another 42 unit. We closed a big deal out in Oklahoma, 208 units. We closed a 76 unit in Moncks Corner. We closed another 93 unit in Statesboro, Georgia. We closed a 70 unit in Statesboro, Georgia. We closed 113 units in Moline, Illinois. We really just got the ball rolling. And that moves me to point number 4 of how we went from 3 trailers, 2 rental houses to 1,500 units is get better, getting better at your craft, right? Not sitting on your laurels, not just enjoying your success, but getting better and digging into your business. This is where we had some missteps, right? As we grew, things got harder. It got harder to keep it all together. You're raising more money. You're taking on more debt. You've got more irons in the fire. And this is where we had to commit to getting better at construction, managing the money, managing investor distributions, investor communications. They want to know what's going on. That was something that all these things we faltered with and we had to overcome and we had to get better at. And eventually we hired an asset manager to help us manage all the different property managers and optimize. And we built a Facebook deal room, Facebook, My First Million and Multifamily, to help us raise more money, to help us find more deals. And we kept getting educated. We kept going to conferences, kept investing and getting better. Point number 4, was probably the most critical piece, because a lot of people can get a deal across the line, get one or two, and then they fall apart, right? They don't execute. They don't get better. They don't do what they said they're going to do. And then they're a one-hit wonder. So this is the thing that I wanted to be committed to, and I'm still committed to, getting better. And what is the next iteration of growth for me? So going from 3 trailers and 2 rentals to 1,500 units in 3 years. Point number 1, getting educated and investing in your education. Number 2, finding those deals, plugging into the network, building those relationships with off-market brokers, wholesalers, cold calling, finding deals on market and off market. Number 3, finding the money. If you're trying to buy everything with your own money and your own down payments, it's pretty difficult. You run out of capital pretty quickly. That's where I was with the trailers and the rentals. And once I unlocked this key, it became clear that I could buy as much as I wanted. I could buy anything I wanted. As long as it was a good deal and a safe deal, I could raise the capital for it. And there was people that really wanted to put their money to work. And then number 4, getting better at my craft, getting better at investing in myself and education, getting better at finding deals, getting better at raising money, widening my investor base, and getting better at actually managing these properties, being a good steward of capital and an asset manager to these properties as we grow, and keeping it all on track. So that's what I got for you today, guys. In a very quick nutshell, that's the journey that I've been on the last 3 years, from 3 trailers, 2 rentals to 1,500 units. And if this is intriguing to you, if you like commercial real estate or passive income and building generational wealth, jump into my Facebook group, My First Million in Multifamily. My First Million in Multifamily. We've got a bunch of cool free resources in there. I actually give away my deal calculator. I give away my pitch deck, give away how to raise money, how to write a compelling pitch for an investor, how to find and source off-market deals. So a lot of cool resources in that group. Jump in there, connect with me, shoot me a message if you're interested in this multifamily stuff. We have a coaching program called The Deal Room. The Deal Room is a mentoring Facebook private group, and we put the pressure on you. You know, we hold you accountable. We make you do the work. We make you follow these steps, but it does work. We just this week, we came out with 4 contracts, 1 closed deal. We submitted 9 offers just in my little accountability group of 9 to 10 people. And there are 80 to 90 people going through these deal sprints at any time. So it's effective. But anyhow, if you're interested in that, then hit me up. And if this applies to you in any way, let me know. Leave me a comment, leave me a review on the podcast. I appreciate it and I read them. So have a great week, guys, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.
This is the podcastfactory.com.